Handling a high backhand is a tough shot for a lot of players, but the mechanics of hitting a high backhand aren't really different from hitting a more traditional backhand, a backhand that would be more maybe about waist level. What you need to do is figure out what your racket and arm relationship is at contact for a normal backhand, the hitting arm position, and then you take this here, of course I'm hitting a two-handed backhand, and then I simply just raise it up. So my arm position, my racket position doesn't change. I just bring the whole thing up as one piece, as one unit. And the same thing goes for a one-handed backhand. Here's my contact point around the waist for a normal height one-handed backhand. I just raise that up, just coming up at the shoulder. There's no bend in the elbow or anything like that. Racket just comes straight up. Now what does happen for a high backhand is the way you swing up to the tennis ball changes a little bit. If I'm hitting a ball at waist level, the racket drops down and then swings forward. But if I have to hit a ball that's a little bit higher, I'm not going to bring the racket down as much during my backswing and forward swing. It stays a little bit higher. And again, that is true for a two-handed backhand and a one-handed backhand. Now let's take a look at some pros hitting two-handed and one-handed backhands. We're going to start with Sasha Jones. She's going to hit a normal height two-handed backhand to start. And here's her contact point. We're going to split screen this with a high ball. And first of all, let's just look at her racket and arm position, that relationship at contact. The racket is obviously higher on the high ball, but the relationship between the tennis racket and her arms stays the same. Now let's move it back a little bit and look at how low she drops the tennis racket on the normal height backhand and then the high ball. And you'll see the racket's a little bit lower. The racket and her arms are a little bit lower on the normal height backhand. And on the high ball, her racket and her arms stay a little bit higher. And again, that's because she has to keep the racket up higher when she makes contact with the tennis ball. Now let's switch to Justin Gimelstob and we'll watch his one-handed backhand. And here we are at contact on the normal height and the high ball. And again, the relationship between his hitting arm and his tennis racket stays the same, looks kind of like a V. He's just raised the tennis racket and his arm a little bit, again from the shoulder on that high ball. And if we rewind it slightly, here he is swinging up to the tennis ball. And again, just like Sasha Jones, he's got the racket and his arm a little bit higher on the high ball than he does on the normal height, about the waist high backhand.